This video is on Quercus palustris, pin oak, and the Fagaceae, the beech family. Fruit type is a nut, and palustris means of the swamp. So pin oak is native to the lowlands of the Midwest and the Ohio River Valley, but it's super common in cultivation. You'll see this planted all over the place. Across the east, it's the classic parking lot oak here. See it planted a lot along streets and things like that. And the wood and wildlife value is pretty similar to other red oaks we've talked about so far. So to identify this tree, we'll start with the leaves. The leaves are simple and alternate like all the other oaks we've learned so far. And this is a red oak, so it's got bristle tips on each of the lobes. And as you can see, these leaves are quite small relative to some of those other red oaks we've learned, like scarlet or northern red. They have much bigger leaves. These are pretty small. So if we look at just one, there's one leaf right here. And you'll notice how deep those sinuses are. So really deeply lobed. And these lobes tend to be quite narrow and recurved. So oftentimes, especially these basal lobes, will kind of curve back towards the base of the leaf. So that's a really distinct look for pin oak. And you can see it here if we look at some of these leaves, how those lobes, especially those first ones, tend to curve back. There's a good example right there of that lobe really recurving back towards the base of the leaf where it attaches to the twig. So look for those small bristle-tipped leaves, deep sinuses, and those recurved lobes really stand out once you get an eye for it. And the acorn, we'll try and find an acorn here on the ground. So the acorn is really quite medium, I guess you'd say, in size. It's larger than some of those tiny ones we learned, like willow oak. So medium, really stout, not as large as scarlet or northern red. And the cap is really, really skinny on top. So we'll see if I can find one with a cap to show you guys. And this is a really young one, but you get the idea. Just how skimpy that cap is on top, just barely covers the top part of the acorn. So a really tiny cap on a fairly squat, medium-sized acorn. There's another acorn here. So pretty distinct nuts on this tree. The bark is pretty nondescript. It's dark and furrowed with age, like many other oaks. No real obvious ski trails on this one. This is a mammoth specimen, by the way, right out here in front of Jordan Hall. Just a huge one. And one other thing for ID, you can kind of still see it even on this really old one, but it's really obvious on younger trees. The lower branches tend to droop, so it's still got some of that drooping look to those lower branches. But especially on younger trees, the lower branches droop, the upper branches ascend, and the middle branches stick straight out. So it's got a really distinctive form. So look for that form. We got a nice painting of that on the teaching slides. That young form is really distinctive. But remember those small leaves, bristle-tipped, deep sinuses, recurved, slender lobes, and then those medium-sized round nuts with a really shallow cap. Those are your big keys for ID for pin oak.